You think attraction happens when you say the perfect thing, wear the right look, time the right text, and somehow crack the code before another man does. But the moment she feels you trying too hard, the spell breaks, because what pulls her in is not your performance, it's your reality. The so called instant attraction trick is not a trick at all. It's the instant shift she feels when you stop needing something from her and start standing fully inside yourself. And if you need reminders like that, subscribe now, because most of what men hear about attraction trains them to chase reactions instead of building presence, and that mistake is expensive. Here's what it really means. Instant attraction is not about making her lose control. It's about becoming the kind of man whose energy is so clean, so grounded, so unforced that she immediately feels the difference. Not because you manipulated her, because you're not leaking need. You're not begging for approval. You're not trying to get picked before you've even decided whether she deserves access to you. That is the first misconception you need to kill. You think attraction begins when she notices how much you want her. No. Attraction begins when she notices that you are fully there without trying to pull her toward you. There is a difference, a big one. One is pressure, the other is presence. One is fantasy, the other is reality. One says, please validate me. The other says, I know who I am. Most men sabotage themselves before the conversation even starts. They walk in already trying to win, already trying to impress, already trying to avoid silence, avoid tension, avoid the possibility that she may not respond the way they hoped. So they rush, they overtalk, they explain too much, they smile too hard, they compliment too early, they hand over all their power in the first 90 seconds and call it confidence. That's not confidence. That's anxiety wearing cologne, and women can feel it. Not because they have magic powers, because insecurity always rushes. It rushes to fill silence. It rushes to create chemistry. It rushes to force certainty. It rushes because it cannot tolerate not knowing. That is why so many men confuse intensity with connection. They think if the moment feels charged, if the conversation moves fast, if there's instant texting, instant flirting, instant emotional access, then it must be real. No, sometimes it's just two people moving fast enough to avoid seeing clearly. That's called emotional impatience. And emotional impatience kills real attraction because it reveals something ugly underneath the polished surface. It reveals that you are not present with her. You are present with your fear, fear of rejection, fear of losing the chance, fear that this might be the only opportunity, fear that if you don't lock it down right now, you'll be forgotten. So you start acting like a salesman instead of a man. You start pitching, performing, persuading. You stop observing, you stop listening, you stop letting the moment breathe, you stop reading reality, you stop holding your frame, you stop choosing and start pleading. And that is why the hard truth matters. The thing that creates instant attraction is not some line, some tactic, some slick move she's never heard before. It's emotional non-neediness expressed through grounded attention. It's when she feels that you see her, but you are not collapsing around her. You are warm but not overeager, interested but not consumed, direct but not forceful, calm but not passive. That combination is rare because it comes from inner order, not external strategy. Why does this happen? Why are so many men tempted to reach, chase, and overplay their hand? Because most of them are trying to use attraction to solve an identity problem. They don't just want connection, they want confirmation. They don't just want a woman, they want relief. Relief from self-doubt, relief from loneliness, relief from the quiet suspicion that without female approval, they don't fully matter. So the second a woman catches their eye, they don't meet her as a person. They meet her as an opportunity to feel enough. That is too much weight to put on any interaction. And she feels that weight even if you never say it out loud. She feels it in the overinvestment, the overpursuit, the subtle panic, the way you start trying to be what you think she wants instead of revealing who you actually are. That's called self-abandonment. And self-abandonment is never attractive for long, because even if it gets attention, it cannot create respect. Now understand the cost. The cost is not just that she pulls away. The cost is that you train yourself to betray your own center every time desire shows up. You become a man who cannot want without weakening, a man who cannot admire without chasing, a man who cannot feel chemistry without surrendering his judgment. Then dating starts to feel humiliating, not because women are impossible, but because you keep meeting them from a collapsed position. You text too much, you analyze too much, you hope too much, you imagine too much, you attach too early, you project too fast. Then, when it falls apart, you blame the game, blame modern dating, blame female psychology, blame bad timing, blame everything except the truth. The truth is that you entered the situation hungry, and hunger makes you sloppy. So reframe it. The instant attraction shift is this: you stop trying to get something from the moment, and you start bringing something to it. Stability, clarity, playfulness without need, attention without pressure, curiosity without self erasure. When that happens, she relaxes. Why? Because most people are used to being subtly managed, pushed, sold to, chased by someone who wants an outcome more than a truth. When she meets a man who is not trying to force the scene, it feels different, safer, stronger, more real. That is the real trick. It is not seduction through control, it is attraction through congruence. Congruence means your words, your eyes, your pace, your posture, your energy all say the same thing. I'm here. I'm interested. I'm relaxed. I'm not trying to buy a result. If she feels that, the effect is immediate because your presence stands out against a world full of men who are mentally begging while physically pretending to be calm. You want instant attraction? Become internally settled enough that silence does not scare you. Become clear enough that you don't over-explain yourself. Become selective enough that you're not dazzled by beauty alone. Become full enough that her attention feels good, but not essential. That shift is felt instantly, not eventually, instantly. Now picture the man who understands this. He walks into the room with nothing to prove and nothing to hide, not because he thinks he's better than everyone, because he's no longer negotiating with himself. He has a life outside the moment, a mission outside romance, standards outside chemistry. He takes care of his body because it reflects his discipline. He watches his mind because it shapes his reality. He speaks plainly. He listens fully. He does not flood the air with noise just to avoid being seen clearly. If he's attracted, he doesn't become chaotic. If he's rejected, he doesn't become bitter. If she's interested, he doesn't become intoxicated with fantasy. He stays rooted. That is the man she can feel before she can explain him. He is not trying to create mystery. He simply isn't leaking desperation. He is not acting unavailable. He simply isn't instantly available to nonsense. He is not playing hard to get. He is hard to move off his center. That's called self-possession. And self-possession is magnetic because it tells the truth without words. It tells her this man does not need to perform intensity in order to feel real. He can hold eye contact without trying to dominate. He can smile without pleading. He can flirt without begging. He can leave without shrinking. He is not looking for a mother, a savior, a judge, or a trophy. He is looking for alignment. That changes the whole temperature. So what do you actually do? First, slow down your internal tempo. Before you speak, before you text, before you escalate, before you assume chemistry means compatibility, slow down. Attraction that needs speed to survive usually isn't attraction. It's insecurity chasing momentum. Second, stop trying to be impressive. Be precise. There is a difference. Impressive men perform. Precise men reveal. You do not need 10 stories, 5 jokes, and a perfectly calibrated persona. You need to be there, fully. Listen to what she says. Respond to what is real. Let the conversation have shape instead of trying to stuff it with personality. Third, stop over-signaling interest in the first 5 minutes. Most men think more is better. More compliments, more enthusiasm, more attention. No, too much too soon does not feel romantic. It feels unearned. Give her your attention, not your collapse. Let interest show through calm engagement, not overeager intensity. Fourth, keep some silence in the interaction. Yes, silence. Because silence reveals who is comfortable and who is scrambling. If every pause makes you rush to fill it, you are exposing nervous dependency. But if you can hold a beat, smile, and stay relaxed, you communicate something powerful. I do not panic in open space. Presence versus noise, strength versus scrambling. Fifth, Ask better questions and watch better answers. Don't interrogate. Observe. Don't fish for approval. Look for substance. A man who is instantly captivated by appearance alone is easy to manipulate because his standards evaporate under attraction. A grounded man enjoys beauty, but he still watches character. He still notices pace. He still pays attention to reciprocity. He still remembers that desire is not discernment. Sixth, do not rush to secure the next step just because the conversation went well. Let the moment end strong. That takes more confidence than clinging to it. If you want to see her again, make it simple, clear, unforced. Then step back. Do not hover around the connection like a starving man outside a locked door. That energy ruins what calm created. Seventh, redirect your obsession away from outcomes and back toward identity. Ask yourself, who are you when nobody is choosing you? Who are you when there is no reply yet? Who are you when attraction is present but certainty is not? That is your real work. Because if you only feel solid when a woman responds, then your confidence is rented, and rent always comes due. This is where most men break, not at rejection, at uncertainty. They can't handle maybe. They can't handle waiting. They can't handle not knowing, so they start pressing. Double texting, overreading signals, trying to manufacture clarity because they do not have enough inner stability to let clarity reveal itself. That's called control addiction. And control addiction is what insecure men call effort. Stop that. You do not need to control the vibe. You do not need to force the spark. You do not need to rescue every lull. You do not need to earn your worth in real time. What you need is to remain intact. Because when you remain intact, attraction has room to grow honestly. She gets to feel you without being pushed by you. She gets to notice your calm without you advertising it. She gets to become curious because you are not spilling your entire need for reassurance across the table. Curiosity is powerful. Pressure kills it. Space feeds it. Presence deepens it. And let's say she doesn't respond. Let's say the energy isn't there. Let's say she pulls back, loses interest, chooses someone else, or simply doesn't feel the same. Good. Now you know. A centered man wants the truth, not the fantasy. He would rather face clean disappointment than drag himself through confusing hope. He does not chase those who hesitate about him. He does not turn mixed signals into a personal mission. He does not keep auditioning after the door is half closed. That is where self-respect becomes visible, not when everything is going well, when it isn't. Can you stay composed when attraction is not returned? Can you keep your standards when beauty is in front of you? Can you stay honest without becoming needy? Can you leave when the energy is wrong? Can you want deeply without worshiping the source of your desire? That is the real test. And if you pass that test, something changes in you. You stop seeing women as gates to your value and start seeing them as people you may or may not align with. That shift alone makes you more attractive because you are finally relating instead of reaching. You are no longer trying to escape yourself through romance. You are bringing yourself into it. That is why the attraction feels instant. Not because you learned a trick, because you dropped the performance, you dropped the fake smoothness, you dropped the needy urgency, you dropped the overeager proving, you dropped the inner begging, and what's left? A man, just a man, grounded, attentive, respectful, clear, strong enough to remain himself in the presence of beauty. That is rare now, very rare, which is exactly why it lands so hard. So the next time you feel that old impulse rise up, catch it early. When you want to impress, breathe. When you want to flood the interaction with energy, slow down. When you want to rush towards certainty, hold your frame. When you feel the hunger to be chosen, return to your own center. Remind yourself that attraction is not something you wrestle out of another person. It is something your presence either supports or sabotages. Support it. Walk slower internally. Speak cleaner. Listen longer. Smile without selling. Hold eye contact without trying to conquer. Express interest without surrendering your balance. Leave room. Leave mystery. Leave pressure out of it. And above all, leave your dignity intact. Because the strongest thing you can bring into any interaction is not charm, it's self-command. A man who commands himself does not need to control anyone else. He does not manipulate. He does not beg. He does not bargain with his standards. He does not confuse being desired with being valuable. He already knows where his value comes from. That knowledge changes his posture, his timing, his choices, his tone. Women feel that before they can explain it. Men notice it too. Life responds to it. So no, she can't resist you the instant you use a trick. That fantasy will keep weak men busy forever. But she may feel instantly drawn to you the moment your energy stops asking for permission to exist. The moment your attention feels strong instead of hungry. The moment your interest is clean instead of loaded. The moment she meets a man who is not trying to win her at the cost of himself. Be that man, not because it guarantees any one woman, because it restores you. Because every time you keep your center, you win something bigger than a reaction. You win your own respect. You win your own clarity. You win your own peace. And from that place, attraction becomes simple, not easy, simple. You show up real. You let the moment breathe. You watch what's true. You move with standards. You do not chase what is unclear. You do not perform for attention. You do not abandon yourself for possibility. That is the shift. That is the edge. That is the real instant attraction move. You are the answer. Not a script, not a trick, not a line. You. Your groundedness, your standards, your purpose, your restraint, your ability to remain whole in the presence of desire. That is what changes the room. That is what changes the interaction. That is what changes your life. Subscribe if you want more truth like this, because men lose years chasing tactics when what they really need is clarity, discipline, and a stronger center. Stay close to this message. Stay close to men who respect reality more than fantasy. And remember this, you do not need to become someone else to be magnetic. You need to become impossible to separate from your own self-respect. You belong here with men who are done begging to be chosen and ready to become undeniable through truth.